Welcome to the Facilitator setup for Commander in Mischief. Let's quickly review the story. As a new president of the United States has just taken office after a very close election. One of their first goals as president is to create their own version of American history. In fact, they have set a policy to destroy every single primary source document that exists, to ensure that their version of American history would not be challenged. Thankfully, our founding fathers knew that this might occur one day, so they locked away the one item that can prevent a new president from carrying out his or her tyrannical plan. The president's Secret Service, too, does not want this to occur, but they cannot stop the president's plan without being punished, so they have provided various clues to help you get into the lockbox to stop the president. The clues they have left are all hidden in different documents from historical organizations that are well known and respected for preserving American history. Will you be able to use the clues? You have 45 minutes. The materials needed for this breakout include a large wooden or plastic lockbox, a directional lock, a 5-letter word lock, a UV flashlight, as well as an invisible ink pen, a 3-digit lockbox, a 4-digit lock, a key lock, a hasp, and a rock that you can hide a key under. You can either get one that is sold at a hardware store, or just a regular rock will suffice as well. Additionally, you need an internet-ready device for students to access one of the electronic clues. You can either use a laptop or a tablet of some kind. Supplemental materials: you'll need 2 hint cards. You will need the 6 president quotes, including the quote that has rock italicized, 3 envelopes labeled 1824, Hamilton and Lincoln. Within the 1824 envelope, you'll put the 4 presidential candidate photos, as well as the Electoral College map and the 1824 vote tallies. In the Hamilton envelope, you will include a letter from Alexander Hamilton to Governor Mifflin. And in the President Lincoln envelope, you will include the Gettysburg Address, both versions of it, including the transcription and his handwritten version, as well as a cut-off version of the Declaration of Independence. You will also need an envelope that is going to be locked within the 3-digit lockbox that will provide a link and a QR code link to access a digital clue. Within that 1824 envelope, in addition to the 4 president photos, the Electoral College map, and the vote tallies, on the vote tally sheet you will want to use an invisible ink pen to write "now 538" on that document, to correspond that there are now 538 Electoral College votes. The 3-digit lockbox should be set to 261, the number of Electoral College votes in 1824. You should set your directional lock to left, down, right to correspond to the Hamilton envelope, his letter, using the words Western, down, and forward. You'll then set your 4-digit lock to 1776 that corresponds to Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address 7 years ago. And as an additional hint, you'll provide a cut-off version of the Declaration of Independence where the 1776 date is cut off. You'll set your word lock to the word PITS, P-I-T-T-S, that corresponds to the link that is within the 3-digit lockbox, that is tinyurl.com/subtract Scottish borough. The Scottish word for borough is borough or burg, and all of these hints within the Smithsonian Learning Lab, after the students go either using the tinyurl link or the QR code link, correspond to the city of Pittsburgh. Within the flap of the envelope, or somewhere on the envelope, you will want to use invisible ink to write the hint William plus S that corresponds to William Pitt, and they will need that S in order to open the word lock. Your 6 presidential quotes should be hung up around the room. One of the quotes has the word rock italicized to provide a hint that there is a key hidden underneath a rock somewhere in the room. To start the game, you'll want to provide students with the 2 hint cards, the 1824 Hamilton and Lincoln envelopes, an internet-ready device, either a computer or a tablet, as well as a UV flashlight. Depending on how difficult you want to make your game, you can have the 3-digit lockbox hidden or out in the open, and you can gauge your difficulty in terms of how you want to have the rock hidden. Looking at a typical classroom setup, we have the 6 president quotes hung up around the room. I have the BreakoutEDU box at the front and center of the room, using a hasp in my directional lock, key lock, word lock, and 4-digit lock. I also have a UV light available for students, as well as their 2 hint cards, in addition to the 3 envelopes, 1824, Hamilton, and Lincoln. Within the 3-digit lockbox, I will have another envelope. But within that 1824 envelope, remember that you want to use invisible ink to have the text now 538, to correspond to the 538 current electoral college votes that will help students to identify the code of 261, the total of electoral votes. That 261 will open the 3-digit lockbox. When students open the 3-digit lockbox, they will find a link to the Smithsonian Learning Lab. That link is a hint in itself. That is tinyurl.com/subtract Scottish Borough. Scottish Borough is Berg again. And on the flap of that envelope, we have an invisible ink William plus S to correspond to William Pitt, again because that word lock is Pitts. When students do use that link, they will go to the Smithsonian Learning Lab, where a clue has been prepared for them. They can identify, or they can open up any of these images, which are all items housed by the Smithsonian. And each of these hints corresponds to Pittsburgh in some way. They can use within any of these images the I button to gain more information. Now, looking at these quotes once again around the room, the word rock has been italicized, and that corresponds to the rock with a key hidden underneath it. And again, depending on your level of difficulty that you want to make this, you can have this key hidden within a desk, or it can just be out in the open somewhere that looks natural. Now, once students have figured out all of your clues here, they've used the key to open up the key lock, the directional lock from the Alexander Hamilton letter, which again is west, down, forward. They'll then use the 1776 code from the Gettysburg Address, and they'll need the word Pitts to open up the word lock. Now, when they're ready to open up what can stop a tyrant, the Constitution of the United States. And thankfully, we have a donation from the Ashland Center at Ashbrook University. They have donated a copy of the Constitution, the pocket version, to all of our students. So we thank them for their support, and you may want to reach out to some organizations to see if they would be willing to donate constitutions to you. So that is Commander in Mischief.